patient with him, but he looks like He looks like the fact. Like I used Everton game, for example. Badia Shield, 21 years old. Fofana, 21 years old. These man look like the veterans. And Koulibaly looks like the rookie at 31 years of age when he was one of the best defenders in Serie A.
That Everton game, he got skinned, man.
Yeah, and it's not been the first game. He's been like that all season. And I look at him and I'm thinking, you're my fourth, fifth choice centre-back right now. And then when Levi Colwill comes back, you go to fifth or sixth. What's the point? So it isn't just Potter. A lot of it is just the players. Likes of Koulibaly, likes of Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, two players who I really hope we can get rid of in the summer.
I mean, I'm gonna ask you on them. And that's it now. First, let's start with Havertz. What's your gripe with Havertz? Because on the face of it, you know, he scored. Did he not score the winning goal in the Champions League final? Like, why? What's your concerns with him?
He's living off it. He's living off it. That's the problem. He hasn't had a performance like the Champions League final since the Champions League final, and people just still refer back to that one. Like, it means anything. It meant something in 2021. We're 2023 about to finish 10th. That don't mean nothing to me anymore. If football's a what have you done for me now business. And he's not doing anything. Like, yeah, it's fair enough. He is our top goal scorer and everything, but we don't even have a scorer with over 10 goals. I don't understand why we're flexing it. And it's only been just because he's taken penalty duty recently because we sold Jorginho to you guys. By the way, another brain dead decision. Sell your only DM while we have a massive injury crisis in midfield. Meanwhile, we're struggling to bring players on to kill off games, and we're bringing on Conor Gallagher to do that when it should have been Jorginho. But hey, my genius manager said it was a win-win-win for all parties. And now you guys have the midfielder that you needed for your depth. And meanwhile, we are struggling with midfield depth. Genius. But the point still stands. Havertz not been good enough. That guy is just... I don't think anyone gets given more chances than him.
And what's wrong with him, though?
Everything. He doesn't give you anything. Usually he has barely any core strength. Doesn't win duels aerially or on the ground. He can't take on players. His passing range has only just started to improve. But even then, it's like he'll make one big chance a game or something, and then everyone will just overrate the fuck out of it. His first touch is very inconsistent, but when it's right, it's good. Finishing, he is genuinely one of the worst finishers I've ever seen in a Chelsea shirt.
He is a bit nonchalant in front of goal.
He hits the ball like a 2-year-old. No power whatsoever. His heading, inconsistent, but he gets most of his goals from heading. He just offers you nothing. He offers you nothing, and people just live off him to death because they either fancy him or it's because of the UCL final goal. Like, the brother's just not good enough. He's not good enough.
What position is he? Because I think he's one of these guys that you can play everywhere, but what are you? Are you a 10? Are you a false 9? Are you out wide? And like a few of your players, it's like everyone's pigeonholed everywhere, really.
I don't know. Like, I think everyone's settled on him being a 10, but it's like he's a number 10 who can't do anything in tight spaces, struggles when he's being pressed, rarely passes forward unless he's given space. And the only games I've seen him do well in that position was against Dortmund, a Bundesliga side notorious for giving you space, and Leicester, who are just crap. Leicester aren't good enough. Even Leicester fans will tell you that they're not good enough. So I can't even be sold based off that. I thought he was invisible against Everton, had a couple headers, scored a penalty, and then everyone overhyped it to death. Like, with Havertz, I just don't see the hype. I haven't seen the hype for a while. All I've seen is just UCL final comps that get retweeted whenever he goes on a bad run of form. And that's it. And I can't lie, I need him gone. I need him gone so he can stop the street. I've been trying to get him sold for the last year.
So you don't think he could offer anything to this Chelsea squad?
I don't know what he can bring me consistently. Not at the very least, if he brings me this 2-game run of form that I've seen all season, if he can bring me that against the bigger teams in April, and we can get results, then maybe we can have another conversation on Havertz. Until then, I have watched Havertz for the last 3 years. This brother has improved at nothing. If anything, he has got worse at everything. He's just not good enough. He's not good enough. This guy is one of the biggest false images in football. When he's a 9, they'll tell you he's a 10 out of position. When he's a 10 out of position, they'll say he's a false 9, or he should be playing in the half spaces, or he should be given a license to roam and drift and moonwalk into the box and all these other buzzwords. How about you just apply yourself a bit more? Because you can complain about the position, and I understand that positions can have an influence on your form, but you got to look at the fundamentals. Can you take down the ball? What do you do when you have the ball with you? Can you hold up the ball? How consistently can you link up play? When you're one-on-one with the goalkeeper, what do you do? Because when Havertz is on the pitch, we do play better as a team. I will acknowledge that. But it's weird. It's like an enigma with him because we play worse without him. But when he plays, he doesn't really step up. And it's like, we'll make more chances, but we won't score as many because he's the guy that's usually on the end of them. And it holds us back. So, like, there's too many holes in his game. The only thing that's good about him is that he's selfless, or he has a lot of off-the-ball attributes, like his movement, his drifting, and all of that. But football is played with a ball at your feet. It's not played with just running. If all you offer is off the ball, you're not good. You're not good because you can train anyone very true. Off the ball. Like, all you need is just tell them where to be whenever a certain run's being made, train them into that, and then you've got somebody that can do that. It's about what else you can offer on the ball, and he doesn't offer me anything. So to me, false image, safe for the open goal in Porto, but yo, you need to leave.
What about Mason Mount? Because 1 minute he's staying, then he's going, contracts this, contract that. I'm getting a new agent, this, that, and the other. What's your feelings on Mason Mount? It does seem like he's a player that polarizes a lot of Chelsea fans. There's some fans that will back him regardless. You know, it's Mason Mount will die. And it feels like there's some fans that slate him, really. So where are you at with Mason Mount? He's been linked with Liverpool as well.
Mason Mount, this one's easier for me because he is just leaving. Mason Mount's gone. And I don't care. That guy, at the very least, he hasn't done nothing for 3 years, but he's regressed. And I've seen that he's not the same player from 2021. Last year, I don't know how he won Player of the Year. Thiago Silva was right there, and our fans voted for Mason.
Bro, Thiago Silva didn't win it. Wow. That's crazy.
No,
that is crazy.
They brought everyone out for a guard of honor, and then in front of Thiago Silva's face, they gave it to Mason Mount. It was mad, absolutely mad. But Mount's been, I think he got himself into that situation because he was at least getting goals and assists consistently. I think he had near to 30 GNA, which I can't lie, papered over the cracks in his form that season. But when you have the likes of Lukaku, Havertz, Werner, Pulisic, Ziyech, Mount is the last of your worries up top. So I didn't really talk about him too much. This season, goals and assists have dried up. His decision-making's got worse. He's invisible, disappears for about 60 minutes at a time in game. And with all of that, he's demanding 200k a week, 200 to 250k a week. Proper Chelsea Mason Mount doesn't want to sign a contract for 6 to 7 years. He wants to sign for 4 years because he wants to keep his options open. He's also not even trying to play himself into a contract because he's demanding those wages in the worst form of his life, or because he's watching people's pockets. I'm personally just finished with Mason Mount. Like, I don't think he's worth the hype. I don't think he's worth the constant conversations. He's got a year left on his contract in the summer, so it's not an if, but, or maybe. He will go in the summer if he doesn't re-sign, and I don't think he's going to re-sign because we offered him 180k a week, and he left that on the table. I'm a bit annoyed that we even offered him 180k a week because he doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, that's so to madness, really. That's the English.
Whoever wants him, this is the sort of transfer where if he goes to United or if he goes to Liverpool, I don't care. I don't know why United want him anyway. I don't know where he fits or anything like that. But whoever wants him, have him. I've seen people try to waffle about how this is like a De Bruyne situation or a Salah situation. Salah had 12 appearances in a Chelsea shirt. De Bruyne had 5. Mount has 127. It's not the same. If Mount goes to another club and balls out, it's whatever. I've seen him at Chelsea. I know why it didn't work. I know why we sold him. And I know that we gave him every available opportunity, but he didn't want to apply himself. So I don't care. But Mount, I know he's gone. Havertz I hope he goes. But Mount, he's not going to re-sign. I hope we're not dumb enough to offer him any more money than what we already did, because 180k is still stupid.
In fact, even that's a lot when you're not performing. You're right, still.
Even 150k is much. I get he wants a pay rise because he's on 80k a week, and that's fair enough. That's whatever. I don't think he should be on that. But you want your wages tripled. You're not even at that level.
He's boying it really when you're doing all of that. So what? If we go through the squad, I think I got it on transfer mark. Let me share my screen and then come out of it a little bit. So what? How many players go and say if we go through them? Mendy.
Sell. He ain't good enough. He's dropped off a cliff the last year.
So I take it you need a goalie.
Yep.
Kepa.
Yep. Keeper's a number 2 if you want, because it's impossible trying to sell that guy on 150k a week. But if someone comes in for him, sell him.
I'll leave out the young goalies, the young G's. Yeah. Obviously, Fofana's actually good. Benoit's actually good. Koulibaly.
Yeah. Koulibaly's sell. That guy's our 5th choice centre back. We don't need him.
Trevor Chalobah, better yet.
Oh, I like Trev. I think he's very dependable. He's happy to be a squad player. Doesn't make a big deal about it. And he usually overachieves compared to what people expect.
Yeah, he goes through some rich runs of form in your team every now and again, if I'm honest.
Before the World Cup, I was saying he was our most consistent centre-back, even over Thiago Silva. So I'll happily keep him.
I assume Thiago's another keep. Obviously, you need to move away from him as he's 38, but valued member of the side, putting a lot of your players to shame, really, whenever I watch Chelsea. Cucurella. Now, that's why I mentioned Cucurella is I think he has, of late, I might be wrong, but it looked like he was putting in some performances. But anytime a manager's worked with a player before and they're not really excelling, I think he's the one that done poorly for the game against us. Anytime they're not excelling, I look at the player funny and I look at the manager funny, because Cucurella looks a shadow of his former self. Maybe it's joining a bigger team in a different lens, but it looks like 2 different players, the one at Brighton to the one with you lot.
Defo, but with Cucurella, there's been documented off the field issues this season. Like he's had tonsillitis. There's been other issues that they haven't really gone into it. But that's why, like for me, I haven't really said too much about Cucurella. He wasn't really doing well around the start of the year, but it's whatever. Like I'm not too fussed about it. I'd still keep him. As for recently, he's been good defensively. Going forward,
that's why I thought it's an interesting one with him.
Yeah, but with him, like I'll still keep him. I like the Cucurella Chilwell competitive side either. I think you need 2 quality players competing for a position, so I'd keep him.
I like Chilwell as well. Chilwell's been linked with Man City, so I take it. You kind of said it. Chilwell's a keep. What about Lewis Hall? He's fallen. Not that he's fallen off a cliff. You just disappeared. You was getting a chance, and I ain't seen you again watching Chelsea.
Yeah, it's because Cucurella and Chilwell were both not doing anything, and it just opened the door for Lewis Hall. And he's looked really good. I think he needs a loan spell or something. It's just somewhere where he can hone his craft a little bit more, but definitely will keep. Looks like a very good talent.
Obviously, skipping out Reece James goes without saying. Aspilicueta, voicing the change.
Yeah, that one's like...
What you say?
The dressing room point, that's a fair one, because we've lost a couple of leaders already in Rudiger.
He's Mr. Chelsea, if anything. He's been there under some good managers. He's won stuff. He's been a right back, a left back, a centre half. And then I look at my club, Arsenal. I don't like to waffle on about voicing the change rooms and stuff, because like with you lot now under Potter or whoever, with Arsenal, with Arteta, if you're installing a new mentality and you're getting new players, for me it kind of becomes redundant, because the vast majority of them players weren't there. But I do think experience is overrated, but it can't be understated. And you mentioned it, we've brought in Jorginho. I know there's nothing to write home about, but he's there. Xhaka and Partey, especially going into the Champions League with our young side, man. And you kind of have a youngish sort of, not really, but there are some young players and probably be some younger players. So where you at with Dave, as they call him?
We got Malo Gusto coming in the summer, so I don't have to worry about him being on number 2. If he wanted to stay and just be involved in the dressing room, then fine. I don't really have a problem with that. If he wants game time, then respectfully we'll get rid of him. But that one's not a get out of my club. It's more like save for everything. Your time's come. It is what it is.
I'm with you with that, man. I think that's fair enough. It's up to him. I think the last time he was linked with a move away, he spoke about his family are settled in London, etc. Maybe that's something. He has been linked with Barcelona again and previously. With the Spanish players, they like to go back home. So we'll have to see. Kante, man hasn't stayed fit, but there's talk of a new deal and things. Do you think that's actually a risk at 31 years of age? And would you keep Kante?
All depends on what the contract is. If it's something that's like a base fee and then it's incentivized based on appearances and everything, I'm fine with that. My biggest problem with Kante is his availability. I was hearing 3+1 at the start of the season and him keeping his same wages. we shouldn't be offering 290k a week to someone who can't stay fit. He only got that contract because of how mad his availability was when we first signed him. He would just be there every game, play a full 90 and be the best player on the pitch and be fit for the next one. He was just crazy like that. That I understood. Give him all the money that he wants. Now, injuries, game time, all caught up with him. Can't stay fit. He shouldn't be on the same amount. I do still think you need like experience in the dressing room. That I think that plays a factor into it with him too. And I think if you protect him, like he's the sort of player that would be unbelievable depth for you to have and just rely on for every game, games every now and then. So I don't mind keeping him, but it just all depends on the terms. All depends on the terms.
That's the thing, and obviously we'll get onto it. But you'll have been linked with half the midfielders we get linked with: Rice, Caicedo, this guy, that guy. Clearly, he's the number 6 role, or not really a 6. The box-to-box composing figure is probably something. What have you made of the loanee Zachariah? Is he a stay for you? Is he a go?
I don't think he's got. I don't think he's staying. And it's because we're trying to rebuild the midfield. We kind of already have too many 8s, and he's not really wowed anybody. He's had good performances, he's had bad performances, but nothing extraordinary or anything. So I think he just goes back.
I mean, Enzo goes without saying, very good midfielder. What have you made of Fernandez? I think he's a baller. I think the only bad thing he's done, he kind of lost the ball against Spurs, but there's just some play, anytime he has a bad game, I'm an Arsenal fan, I'll be there to agenda, but absolute ball. I think he's showing it in the Chelsea shirt. I actually think him and Felix are wavy still. So, yeah, where are you at with the big money signing so far?
Yeah, Enzo, like, for the fact that we don't have a cohesive midfield at all, he looks unbelievable. It's another thing that I'm annoyed we got rid of Jorginho for, because Enzo's being forced to play as a 6 now. And he can do it. His passing range is good enough. He's got good enough defensive attributes. But his best attributes are further forward. That guy's passing in the final third is ridiculous. But we can't utilize it enough because he has to play so deep. Once we get like a DM in, maybe another box-to-box, he's got the license to stay forward. I'm telling you, Enzo will be one of the best midfielders in the world, let alone just in the Premier League.
I think he's got that capacity. He's wavy. I'm not even waffling about the World Cup and all of that where he showed his ability, but I think the guy is very good. I don't want to praise a quality player for, having vision or having a passing range, but when you remove your biased fans hat, he's a player that is very enjoyable to watch. And I agree with your point. Like, I think he's not like Jorginho, but he's Jorginho in the sense that he will try and put in a shift defensively, but they can be brush past. And I think that happened to him and a couple of other players, Dortmund away. But I agree with you, playing further up. He's 22 years of age. I don't know if he'll ever justify the price tag, because I don't know if he's a player that's, how it is in England. You have to get mad goals or assists or you're not good, but he's a very cultured footballer. Where are you at with Kovacic? Because, on the face of it, he's captained your team. He's in the team. He's been there at Chelsea. He's a quality player, such as his CV suggests. If we're going to keep buying players from you, that's someone that could be fantastic for me at the Emirates. Where are you at with Kovacic?
It's up to him, really, because he's not been good this season. And I don't know if he started off with an injury, came back in, but he hasn't been good since. Like, there's been odd, decent performances here and there, but overall, he's just been very disappointing by his standards. Allegedly, I think he does. There's been talks about him like wanting a new challenge and everything. And if he does, fair enough, get rid of him. But it all depends on that. Like, could be good depth for us. I still think he would be, but if you don't want to be here,